Hi, I'm Tommy Moore from the Bartitsu Lab, and in this video we're going to be looking at how to use our opponent's clothing against them. Now again, you can do this with a hoodie, you can do this with a jacket, you can do this with any reasonably substantial garment, and there are many pros and benefits to being able to do this very effectively. This is something you see naturally manifest in fights all the time, so why not use it to your advantage? It's very simple. A couple of simple ways that you can deploy. One of the first rules is if you find yourself in a shitty grapple and you feel a hood, use the hood. It's very important not to reach for any of these things. So there's no point thinking at this range, optimal for striking, for doing other ballistic shit. There's no point overreaching for this clothing as a lever, because while I'm grabbing, he's twatting. So I don't want any of that business. I don't want that exchange. But if we find ourselves in this grapple, which can happen very quickly, and we feel the hood, there's a couple of ways in which we can manipulate it. So one of the first things is using the thumb. So if you can get your thumb inside the hood, that's the best position for you. So your thumb is the most important bit in this grip, putting your thumb inside. Also making sure that just because you've got this lever, you don't forget the rest of your grappling. You're making sure that you've still got decent base, that you've still got decent footwork, that you are sound, you are balanced, your centre of gravity is a bit lower than his, you're in a good grappling position. Step one, ballistically achieve this thumb in here. Now once you've got this, one of the easiest will be to push off against his hips. Again, you want to make sure you dominate his hips because we're still wrestling here. So we push off against his hips as we pull this down. Now there are a couple of important points. I need to make sure that I've got downward pressure on this hood. I can't just hold it because this is not disrupting his head and therefore it's not disrupting his balance. I need to pull this down. Yep. And one of the best ways to do that is sink your elbow to your hip. You need to rag this down for a number of reasons. One, if I can move his head, if I can manipulate where his head's looking, it's easier for me to out-grapple, out-maneuver him. Two, obvious benefit is, fucker can't see. If I pull this down hard enough, he can't see. Or what he can see is just legs, bare minimum. So you find yourself in this fucked up grapple. Achieve a thumb in position, but making sure you're still fundamentally sound with what you're doing. If you're getting body to body, get some control over his hips, and as you push off, come over. And then maintain strong pressure of this hood downwards. Okay. Now once you've got this, don't imagine for a second he's going to give in. Now I've lost one hand and he's got two. And so he'll either be trying to wrestle this hand off or beat the fuck out of me, or worse, pull a blade. So once I've achieved this, it's important that you go immediately on the offensive in two ways. Way number one is you need to be ballistically striking this man. You need to be able to move and strike, but you also need to reposition yourself. If I stay here, it doesn't take a genius for him to know where I've gone, and he can fire shots into me with ease. So once I've got this position, as soon as you start hitting, you need to get used to moving around this 180 arc, being able to move and reposition. You know, like being a sniper. Fire, fucking move. You know, you don't want him to understand where you are. Sometimes you might be very close, other times you might be extended. You know, you may wish to extend to allow yourself a big power shot, and you may wish to contract in order to off-balance even further. So you're in the fucked up grapple, you've achieved the thumb, you've pushed on the hip, and you've pulled strongly downwards. Now when it comes to striking, it's important that I have no idea where face and skull are at this moment, okay? So bare knuckle striking is really off the cards for this man's head. I can palm heel him all I like. Yeah, so I can smash him up with the palm, with palm slaps and palm strikes. To his body, I can do anything I like. Punches, knees, elbows, whatever the fuck, that doesn't really matter. The important thing is that once I've got this position, whether I'm hitting upwards, if I've pulled him down, I'm still having to use my palm against the head because now I have no idea where his teeth are, where his bony forehead is, I don't know where any of that shit is. But importantly, I need to be pulling and ragging. He always needs to be shook off balance. It needs to be like a bulldog has got hold of a toy. You know, being dragged around viciously. This hand is very active. You can even give him a dig, little digs, just grind those knuckles in. Make this pushing and pulling really uncomfortable for him. But very vitally, if you can't see where the skull is, don't be throwing no big fist bombs. You want to be firing, wham, move off, wham, move off, wham. You want to be moving yourself around so he doesn't know where you are. You get out of his line of fire and you can hit him in more unpredictable ways. If I push him this way and move here, his body might not be predicting the big palm heel coming right up the centre. If he doesn't predict where something's coming from, that's where he'll suffer the most. So if you can't predict it, it's going to hurt him a lot more. So you're pulling, pushing, ragging and otherwise manipulating here, but also moving yourself. So you're making this awkward. You're pulling, pushing, ragging, moving. Using the hood. You can also use the front of the garment. Okay? So hoodie wrap, nice and simple. Move him, move yourself, making sure you've got really good tools for the job that aren't going to smash off his skull. Very important. When you look at other things, you can also give him a lapel surprise. So again, you don't want to reach for this. This might happen as you end up in this shitty grapple and you're gouging and biting and hitting each other. And essentially, you're grabbing him in a bit of the jacket or the hoodie or whatever, and you're pushing it up against his face, here. So you're smothering his face with his own jacket. And again, it's the same principle as the hoodie. You're always pushing him off balance. You might be driving him into a wall. This adds an extra lever for me to push him against the wall. So I'll be pushing, pulling, ragging, but using the garment to obscure his vision and to obscure his balance, upset his balance. Once that's happening, then, much like with the hood, fire, move, fire. Wham! Move around. Wham! Wham! Move around. If he starts to turn away, re-drive him. Yep. If he starts to pull back into the grapple, get yourself based. You might then transition to the hood. Wham! 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 Move. Wham! 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 Move. You've got to pull, push, break his kazushi, break his balance. Be vicious and aggressive, but the two very basic forms, use his hoodie or use the lapel surprise. And that opens up all manner of things. But again, be careful if you are punching, to punch to the body in this instance, because you don't know where the bony pits of him are. So making sure you always use the right tool for the job and make sure you keep moving. Don't stand in a predictably obvious place and get hit, stabbed, whatever. As much as you move him, you move yourself. When I move him, I'll move myself. Whoa! And also don't hold onto it when it's gone past its lifespan. So if I start to lose my grip weakens or another priority occurs. Don't hold on to a flimsy grip. If I've got this and I've just got the front, and it's not pulling his head down, it's not breaking his kazushi, in reality all it's done is take one arm out of the fight for me and left him with two arms. So it needs to be either working, and if it's not working, abandon it. Doesn't matter, it's either on or it's off. Give that a go. Simple tools, simple usage, but it pays to go back to basics and understand, am I really using the hood or the clothing to the full capability? Cheers.